Montana is joining the fight against critical race theory. We have a new letter that has been sent over by the Montana school superintendent over to the Montana attorney general, all over critical race theory. The superintendent of the schools is saying, hey, we can't teach this stuff in school. This is crazy. This is basically racism, and it's in violation of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. So, Attorney General, if you're telling us that we need to do this stuff, or the Biden administration is telling us through the Department of Education that we got to make these pivots in our curriculum, I need to know how to do that, because the way that I'm reading the laws, this is a violation of the laws. So help me out. So I want to show you what this looks like. And once again, this is being brought to us by Christopher Rufo, who is doing a great job on all of the critical race theory stuff. He says, breaking, Montana Superintendent Arntzen asks the state attorney general to investigate whether promoting critical race theory in the classroom violates the Civil Rights Act of 1964 by treating individuals differently based upon race and creating, quote, a racially hostile environment. All right. And we've talked about critical race theory. It's about, this idea that sort of, racism is systemic. It's inherent in our society. It's been institutionalized, and that essentially no interaction in our society can occur without a racial component as a part of it. And so schools are now having to figure this out. We're talking about Montana, but this is taking place all over the country. In many states, many state legislatures are passing rules and regulations. We have other states that are sort of encouraging and endorsing critical race theory. We talked about this earlier in the week. I think it was Washington State that says, we're good. We're critical race theory, we're a go. Then we change gears and we talk about Oklahoma. They said, no, we're not going to be doing that. And the governor signed a law that put some limitations on that. So we're seeing the country sort of split two different directions. And now Montana is joining the fray. So I want to show you a little bit about this woman. Her name is Elsie Arntzen, Superintendent of Public Instruction. She, let's see here. By law, the state superintendent has general supervision of the K through 12 public schools and districts. So that's a big chunk of kids, right? Elected in 2016, we got a 4-year term. She's been teaching in public schools for 23 years, has a degree in economics, education, University of Montana, teaching career, served in the Montana legislature for 12 years, 4 terms in the Montana House of Representatives, 1 term in the Montana Senate from 2013, sworn in as superintendent of public instruction 2017, been married to her high school sweetheart for 41 years, 2 daughters, grandmother of 4 grandchildren, strong background, key initiatives in all of these things: Montana Hope, Montana Teach, Montana Learn, and Montana Ready. And so we have this woman now who is sending a letter over to the Attorney General, person by the name of Austin Knudsen, sent this back on May 12th. So this was yesterday. We can see here, let's there we go. We see here, this was drafted on May 12th. The Office of Public Instruction sent over to the Office of the Attorney General. And so the Attorney General is sort of the state's lawyer, right? So it's the main attorney for the entire state. So it's the main person who handles education, all K through 12 education, sending a letter over to the main attorney for the entire state of Montana saying, hey, what's going on here? Pursuant to my authority as the public student attendant school supervisor, I am asking for an opinion from the Attorney General on the legality of teaching so-called anti-racism and critical race theory in Montana public schools. Specifically, I request your opinion as to whether these practices violate Title VI of the Civil Rights Act of 1964 and the Equal Protection Clause of the 14th Amendment, Article 2, Section 4 of the Montana Constitution, and other things. So fleshing out what the claims are, 3 of them: Civil Rights Act, we have the Montana Constitution, and the Equal Protection Clause of the 14th Amendment. We have standing that is being established right here. So she's saying, I have the ability to go in and ask you for your opinion on this. I have standing on this matter. They go through some legal analysis. The U.S. Department of Education recently released a proposed new rule establishing priorities for grants in American history and civics education. So she's referencing this. This came out April 19, 2021. So this is a Biden policy. The rule would offer priority to grant, quote, projects that incorporate racially, ethnically, culturally, and linguistically diverse perspectives. They're going to get grant money. OPI has serious concerns about the effect this proposal on the education of students in Montana. It raises serious questions as to whether it encourages schools to treat students differently on the basis of race in violation of federal and state non-discrimination laws. Government is saying, according to the U.S. Department of Education, we're going to give you a grant so long as you incorporate this into a project that includes racial, ethnic, cultural, and linguistically diverse perspectives. Sounds kind of reasonable, right? Let's see what else is in here. The most troubling aspect of the proposal is the incorporation of the so-called anti-racist teachings. Okay, so it's about the content. Let's see what this is about. Critical race theory going into the classrooms. The proposal states that schools across the country are working to incorporate anti-racist practices. It explains, as the scholar Ibram X. Kendi has expressed, quote, an anti-racist idea is any idea that suggests the racial groups are equals in all their apparent differences, that there is nothing right or wrong with any racial group. Anti-racist ideas argue that racist policies are the cause of racial inequities. It is critical that the teaching of American history and civics creates learning experiences that validate and reflect the diversity, identities, histories, contributions, and experiences of all students. So this comes from an article titled How to Be an Anti-Racist in 2019. So the superintendent says, accordingly, under this priority, the applicants propose projects that incorporate teaching and learning practices. Kendi's How to Be an Anti-Racist is quite radical, she contends. She says that the most threatening racist movement is the regular Americans' drive for a race-neutral state, according to Ibrahim Kendi. So if you want a race-neutral state, that is threatening the racist movement. Incorporating the idea of institutional racism, structural racism, and systemic racism, this policy argues that a racist policy is any measure that produces or sustains racial inequity between racial groups. An anti-racist policy is any measure that produces or sustains racial equity between racial groups. By policy, I mean written, unwritten. The most shocking aspect of this philosophy is the pronouncement that the only remedy to past discrimination is present discrimination. The only remedy to present discrimination is future discrimination. What? Okay. Anti-racism is closely linked with a discipline known as critical race theory. CRT stresses racial divisions. These ideas are fallacious. They also lead to discrimination when implemented. For example, the City of Seattle's Office of Civil Rights developed a race and social justice training which required white employees to examine their, quote, relationships with white supremacy, racism, and whiteness, and explain how their families benefit economically from the system of white supremacy, even as it directly and violently harms black people. Okay, one prominent critic of CRT argues that, quote, under the banner of anti-racism, Seattle's Office of Civil Rights is now explicitly endorsing principles of segregationism, group-based guilt, and race essentialism, ugly concepts that should have left behind a century ago. These fringe ideas have found their way into schools, she says. In the spring of 2019, another school district began developing the BLM at school curriculum, which quote, unapologetically aims to create a new generation of allied activists. What did the school district do? Well, they went on to separate administrators in professional development training programs into two groups based on race, white and non-white. So we're going back to segregation now. So in Seattle, they say that they're going to have this BLM curriculum. What happens when a slogan becomes a curriculum? Posted in the Atlantic, so they actually divide the students. Black people over here, white people over there. Very, very progressive. Offers various, quote, racially exclusive affinity groups that separated students and parents and community members by race. More segregation. They also implemented a disciplinary policy that included explicit direction to staffers to consider a student's race when meting out discipline. So certain punishments go to certain ethnicities. Got it. Carry out a colorism privilege walk that separated 7th and 8th grade students into different groups based on race. That's good for the kids. We have what else? On November 25th, the U.S. Department of Education for Civil Rights opened an investigation of a complaint against the district for a violation of Title VI. Parents are asked to quiz their kids on whiteness and give them approachable examples of, quote, how whiteness shows up in school or in the community. And its focus on whiteness and its invitation to readers to challenge racism by interrogating and rejecting it, the worldview of not my idea, is similar to that of Robin DiAngelo's white fragility. We have another example from New York. All right, let's see here. She finishes, she says, actions such as these seem to violate the plain language of the Civil Rights Act, which says no person in the United States shall, on the ground of race, color, national origin, be excluded from participation in, be denied the benefits of, or be subjected to the discrimination under any program or activity receiving federal financial assistance. When a school separates or excludes students on the basis of race for these, quote, anti-racist activities, it constitutes different treatment. Additionally, in some instances, these materials may cause a racially hostile environment under the law. Harassing conduct, if they are sufficiently severe, pervasive, and persistent so as to interfere or limit the ability of a student to participate, are problematic. Thus, if a school allows students to be judged, labeled, or assigned guilt according to their race, this could create an impermissible hostile environment. And looking for more information, I look forward to receiving your response, signed off on by Elsie Arntzen, State Superintendent, Montana Office, Public Instruction. So trying to figure out what is happening with the youth. Let's take a couple questions over from watchingthewatchers.locals.com. We've got Soul Under Siege says, why are we even calling it critical race theory? Just call it what it is. Teaching people to be racist, because that is what it is. How this is even a debate blows me away. I know I don't get it either. I really don't. I'm having a difficult time wrapping my head around how they sort of skipped over something that we all learned. I mean, I remember growing up, you don't judge people by the color of their skin, right? That's exactly what MLK taught us. I mean, we learned that my entire life, right? Don't judge people by the color of their skin. Judge them by the content of their character. I thought that was a powerful message. I still think it is. They don't, for some reason. We have Liberty or Death says, they teach this crap in our law school too. Force us to go to these, quote, professionalism presentations once a month where they push soft bigotry of low expectations. We also have CRT type classes, race and the law, and lawyers in advancing social justice. Okay. I mean, that's one way to practice law, I guess. Well, hey, look, if they're going to defund the police, maybe this is a whole new area of law. Maybe this is what it looks like now. Pinky2 says, Rob, that is what is wrong with America. We've already had diversity training. Turning everything the exact polar opposite is not good. Extremes are bad. They are bad, Pinky. I know they are. Thank you for that. We got Chasco, our last one in the house, says, geneticists will tell you that there are no races. You can't tell by DNA which race a person is. How do you deal with mixed race individuals? How many races are there supposed to be? I don't know. Is there a limit, or is there supposed to be a certain number of anything? I'm just kind of, does it matter? Whatever. I don't care how many there are. There could be, maybe one day we'll all just keep commingling and then we just have one race. Maybe. Wouldn't that be nice? Those are questions over from watchingthewatchers.locals.com. Thank you all so much for those. And I want to thank, we have a couple people who signed up to support the community. Big welcomes over to T. Baggins. T. Baggins is in the house. That's good. We all welcome T. Baggins. We also have Alexo Decino is also now a supporter over at watchingthewatchers.locals.com. Welcome to you both. Thank you so much for signing up. Looking forward to connecting with you over there. And I also want to thank all of those who asked questions today. You see who you are up there. You make the show possible. Thank you for keeping things engaged and light and fun and asking great questions that prompt some nice conversation. I appreciate it. If you want to be a part of the community, you can sign up by going over to watchingthewatchers.locals.com, and you can download a copy of my book for free. It's called Beginning to Winning right there. You can also download a copy of the slides, which are available for your perusal. Download a copy of my impeachment party documents, my existence systems, personal productivity development. Talked a little bit about some existence systems today. You can check that out. We share links throughout the day. We also connect with great people. We have an online locals community only monthly meetup that is coming up on May 22nd, which is a Saturday, 7 to 8 p.m. Eastern time. Looking forward to connecting with you there. We also have law enforcement interaction training coming up on Saturday, June 12th, which is going to be a lot of fun. I'm excited. I'm still putting together this presentation, and so I'm it's going to be fun. I think we're going to be able to talk about a lot of interesting things, especially in light of what's going on in the world around us. So that'll be fun. June 12th, that's going to be at 9 a.m. Arizona time. It's going to be 12 noon Eastern. So join us on that June 12th. All right. And as we know, before we get out of here, I got to tell you that I am a criminal defense attorney here at the R&R Law Group. We're located in Scottsdale, Arizona. We have a great team of people, and we're all very, very passionate and dedicated to helping good people who are facing criminal charges. We want to help them find safety, clarity, and hope in their cases and in their lives. So if you happen to know anybody in the state of Arizona who is in a situation where they need some help, if they're facing criminal charges, if they've got a DUI that's outstanding, a domestic violence case, any disorderly conducts, misdemeanor offenses, felony offenses, traffic offenses, anything and everything in between, anytime somebody's in trouble with the law, we can help. So we would very much appreciate it if you sent a referral our direction. We can help with all of that stuff. We can help with any current active cases. We can deal with old cases, quash old warrants, help restore rights, the right to vote, possess a firearm, apply for federal benefits, the ability to drive again. A lot of very important things that sometimes people just kind of forget about. They make do without those. They make do with a blemish on their record. When they go apply for jobs, they got to explain it. And we can clear that up. So give us a call if you need help with any of that stuff. We love the work that we do. We're super passionate about it. And so if you want to give us a call, we offer free case evaluations. So really have nothing to lose. We'll give you a copy of my book if you come on into the office, and we'll do everything we can to make sure that you leave better than when you came in. So we would be honored and humbled if you happen to know anybody, if you sent them our direction. All of the information is down in the description below. Really means the world when somebody calls and said, hey, found you on YouTube. Kind of a cool thing. So thank you so much for all of your support today. Quick reminder, we're going to be back here tomorrow. Same time, same place. It's going to be at 4 p.m. Arizona time, which is 5 p.m. Mountain, which is 6 p.m. Central, which is 7 p.m. out there on the East Coast for that one Florida man out there. Everybody have a tremendous night's sleep. Have a nice hearty dinner, because I will see you right back here tomorrow. Bye-bye.